Hello everyone. You are very welcome to our Share a Poem event, which is sadly not being held this year in Randall MacDonald's historic Cushendun Hotel. The theme of the poems is in general aimed to uplift the spirit of people at this very difficult time, but those who are contributing have been free to choose poetry that they like. We are very privileged to have among our readers the poet Damien Gorman and the poet Elaine Gaston, who are making their contributions remotely. Thank you. This is a poem by Marita Woods, née O'Donoghue, who grew up in Dalriada, Cushendall, and it describes returning to her old home place with her own daughters. Stopping by our house. The fuchsia seemed more scarlet than before, and our dormer window rakishly open onto the unchanged bay and pale Kintyre. From the back seat a voice asked, "Why are we stopping here?" And 3 girls came tripping ghostly down the same path where we sisters buried jammed our treasures the day the concrete fell. How is it that this my daughter has never jumped the 6 steps onto the veranda or crept to the hidey holes behind the pines? Oh, losses do not come singly. The girls have Walkmans, and father's timber gate is no more. But I am drowning in the inlet of time with my mother's face just possible in the kitchen window above the Veronica, keeping watch for her homing swallows. Who are these strangers alongside me, pale-faced in childhood's territory?
I'm going to say a little poem today that I've written about salmon. I do quite a lot of fishing here around the glens, and I guess I'm quite interested in sort of salmon conservation. The numbers are sort of a lot less than they would have been in times of yore. So we have a fish counter on the river, and we can actually count the amount of fish that are getting up each year. Oh, salmon, the gods of the sea, where did you swim to? Where might you be? For 30 and 7, I've followed your tail. My attempts lie in vain, my efforts do fail. But sharpened my skills in time you have done, and in the thrill of the chase, we sure did have fun. And as time goes on, though your numbers are few, I hope that someday you will visit the end of my line too. Salmon. I'm going to play a little song now called It's a Wonderful Life, which I guess it is, you know. Things like pandemics come and go, but it's important to remember, you know, the most important things like friends and family, and the fact that it's not all bad, you know. We're coming into summer now. I think it is a wonderful life, you know. Here I go out to sea again. The sunshine fills my hair, and dreams hang in the air. Gulls in the sky and in your blue eye, you know it feels unfair. There's magic everywhere. Look at me standing here on my own again, up straight in the sunshine. No need to run and hide. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. No need to be afraid. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. It's a wonderful life. No need to run and hide. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. No need to laugh and cry. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. It's a wonderful life.
I'm Fiona Lynch, and I'm going to read Yeats's lovely and mysterious poem, The Song of Wandering Aengus. And I chose it because it has lived in my imagination since I first read it about 100 years ago. And ultimately, I suppose it suggests that reality, well, deepest reality, is very rich and strange. And in this life anyhow, always somehow eludes us. There's a lot that you could say about the poem, but I'm going to say just one thing. There's a reference to a glimmering girl in stanza 2, and she is almost certainly Maud Gonne McBride, whom Yeats loved throughout his life and who made him very unhappy. In another poem, he refers to that monstrous thing, returned yet unrequited love. And in his autobiographies, he recalls the moment when he first met Maud Gonne in the drawing room of his father's house in Dublin, where she'd brought a letter of introduction from the Fenian leader, John O'Leary. And when Yeats entered the room, she was standing in front of a window, outside which was a great apple tree in full blossom, so that she seemed to him to have apple blossom in her hair. So, the Song of Wandering Aengus. I went out to the hazel wood because a fire was in my head, and cut and plucked a hazel wand and hooked a berry to a thread. And when white moths were on the wing and moth-like stars were flickering out, I dropped the berry in a stream and caught a little silver trout. When I had laid it on the floor, I went to blow the fire aflame, but something rustled on the floor and someone called me by my name. It had become a glimmering girl with apple blossom in her hair, who called me by my name and ran and faded through the brightening air. Though I am old with wandering through hollow lands and hilly lands, I will find out where she has gone and kiss her lips and take her hands and walk among long dappled grass and pluck till time and times are done the silver apples of the moon, the golden apples of the sun.
This is a poem called The Glendon Viaduct, locally known as the Big Bridge, by Teresa O'Neill, who lives in Somerset. Teresa is a Glens woman, a woman of Glendon. She guards the glen with outstretched arms. At the top of the bridge from Clegnach, it seems that the tip of Ora shakes hands with the sky. Lanyon's Trinity arches have stood the testament to time, a beacon of hope, a bond between man and God. She stood through gales, storms, seasons of spring and summer too, steadfast. Her red sandstone locks cascade, a sort of Rapunzel to the daring who scrambled either side of the whins and bushes. She saw her sons and daughters leave for far-off shores in time of hunger, the soil providing no more. She watches, secret safe, she judges not. Her shoulders are strong, a colossus, a mighty baven, she bears her burden with grace. She carries the rich, the poor, footprints of young and old. Etched is the sweat of men on horses, straining in her birth. Below her echoes and wails by the river, comfort those who stop a while to sing, to touch the sinued pillars of perpetuity.
Right. The poem I have chosen is by Dorothy Parker, who's an American poet. And her writing career actually started in Vogue magazine. And actually she won 2 Oscars for her screenplays, but her success was somewhat curtailed with her involvement in left-wing politics, and that put her on the Hollywood blacklist. Dorothy actually is best known for her wit and her wisecracks. Now, in this poem, she is writing about a lover whom she obviously is mad about. But he's just too perfect. And to me, there's no mention of her love being reciprocated in any way, so I take it that he either doesn't love her or that he really loves himself. Love Song by Dorothy Parker. My own dear love, he is strong and bold, and he cares not what comes after. His words ring sweet as a chime of gold, and his eyes are lit with laughter. He is jubilant as a flag unfurled. Oh, a girl, she'd not forget him. My own dear love, he is all my world, and I wish I'd never met him. My love he's mad, and my love he's fleet, and a wild young wood thing bore him. The ways are fair to his roaming feet, and the skies are sunlit for him. As sharply sweet to my heart he seems as the fragrance of acacia. My own dear love, he is all my dreams, and I wish he were in Asia. My love runs by like a day in June, and he makes no friends of sorrows. He'll tread his galloping rigadoon in the pathway of the morrows. He'll live his days where the sunbeams start, nor could storm or wind uproot him. My own dear love, he is all my heart, and I wish somebody'd shoot him.
Hello. I'm delighted to be part of Share a Poem in this mad year, and I hope you're all keeping well. I'd like to say a poem which was commissioned from me by the Irish International Immigrant Centre in Boston. And it's a poem that advocates the right of people to move around the world if they want to or if they have to. And this poem, Available Light, I want to dedicate to somebody back in Cushendun. It mentions in the poem midwives. And Cassie McNeil started off as a midwife, as I'm sure you'll know, and later as a staff nurse she was brilliant when I brought my wee tote of a son, Jack as he was then, into her very, very sick. And I'll never forget that. And this is for Cassie. Available Light. When we reach the world, we're taken by the hand, or into the hands of someone kind. A midwife maybe. Someone who knows our worth is more than the weight we put upon the earth, who knows that the very hollows of our bones are filled with light, with grace. The secret flames that we arrive with when we reach this place, and which, if they're unfurled, can cure the darkness. So, when we move around the world, we're more than wretched refuse on a teeming shore. We're light. All the available light there is. And if we meet each other at our borders and turn each other down, then something dims, right there and everywhere. The darkness wins. Thank you.
Dust if you must, but wouldn't it be better to paint a picture or write a letter, bake a cake or plant a seed, ponder the difference between want and need? Dust if you must, but there isn't much time, with rivers to swim and mountains to climb, music to hear and books to read, friends to cherish, a life to lead. Dust if you must, but the world's out there, with the sun in your eyes and the wind in your hair, a flutter of snow, a shower of rain. This day will not come round again. Dust if you must, but bear in mind, old age is coming and it's not kind. And when you go, and go you must, you yourself will make more dust.
For Roberta in the garden. I know when you're at your happiest, kneeling on mould, a trowel in your glove. You raise your eyes and for a moment rest, you turn a young girl's face like one in love. Intent, entranced this hour in gardening, surely to life's bright process you belong. I wonder when you pause, you do not sing, for such a moment surely has its song.
Hello everyone, I'm Georgina Quashie. Normally I would be over in Cushendun at this time, and I wish I could be here this May, but another time. And I've wanted to join in, so I've chosen a poem, Weathers by Thomas Hardy. This is the weather the cuckoo likes, and so do I. When showers betumble the chestnut spikes and nestlings fly, and the little brown nightingale builds his best, and they sit outside at the traveller's rest, and maids come forth sprig muslin dressed, and citizens dream of the south and west, and so do I. This is the weather the shepherd shuns, and so do I. When beeches drip in browns and duns, and thresh and ply, and hill-hid tides throb, throw on throw, and meadow rivulets overflow, and drops on gate bars hang in a row, and rooks in families homeward go, and so do I.
Yeah. Hello, my name is David Carr. This is a poem called A Grain of Sand, and it was written for the 100 Voices project, which is the centenary of Northern Ireland, the celebration or the marking of Northern Ireland, the many different angles you can come at this from, and I hope to pick in a lot of the aspects of life here in Northern Ireland. It comes from the thought of being a grain of sand lying on Cushendun Beach and the memories a grain of sand will have. So here goes. Here I am, a grain of sand, lying on the beach, soaking up the morning sun, the fresh air and the sea. And here I am, my story to tell, and many other stories too. For I live on a land of many tales, some bad, some sad, some good. I used to be a mountain that lived by the sea. Then I became a boulder, and now I'm little old me. I live here with my friends and know that one day I will be dust, the same as those human people who walk on top of us. I look out to see Scotland across the raging sea, and I think of the submarines of battleships ingrained in my memory. And I think of the many soldiers who fought in the war and the needless loss of life on sand, sea or shore. I have many cousins who live far to the west, and live on rocky, sandy beaches and the stories they can tell. For they have witnessed the ocean and the storms as they did rage, and the battle of the Atlantic with ships, bombs and planes. Then there are many relatives who live on the land and make up the bricks and mortar in our cities, villages and towns. They were not spared the ravages of the war, for they witnessed the Easter Rising and all that went before. They saw the shootings and they felt the bombs and the riots that did prevail, and wept at the senseless loss of life that did take place. We live in churches and in garrisons and in places you wouldn't know, so there's nothing you can tell us that we didn't already know. Trying to understand it is difficult all the same, for we're just grains of sand and we're not here to blame.
The Fairy Loch by Moira O'Deill. Loch Arima lies so high among the heather, a little loch, a dark loch, the waters black and deep. Our heralds go a-fishing there, and seagulls all together float round the one green island of the Fairy Loch, asleep. Loch Arima, where the sun goes down at 7, when the hills are dark and airy, 'tis the curlew whistle sweet. Then something rustles all the reeds that stand so thick and even. A little wave runs up the shore and flees as if on feet. Loch Arima, stars come out and stars are hiding. The water whispers on the stones, the flittering moths are free. Once before the morning light, the horsemen will come riding, round and round the Fairy Loch, and no one there to see.
I'm Bernadette Sexton, and I have chosen to read Eden Rock by Charles Causley. Charles Causley, Google tells us, 1917 to 2003, a Cornish man, a school teacher and a writer. His work is often noted for its simplicity, its directness, as well as its interest in the folklore, the legends, and the magic of Cornwall. Eden Rock. They are waiting for me, somewhere beyond Eden Rock. My father, 25, in the same suit of genuine Irish tweed. His terrier Jack, still 2 years old and trembling at his feet. My mother, 23, in a sprigged dress drawn at the waist, ribbon in her straw hat, has spread the stiff white cloth over the grass. Her hair, the colour of wheat, takes on the light. She pours tea from a thermos, the milk straight from an old HP sauce bottle, a screw of paper for a cork. Slowly sets out the same 3 plates, the tin cups painted blue. The sky whitens as if lit by 3 suns. My mother shades her eyes and looks my way over the drifted stream. My father spins a stone along the water. Leisurely they beckon to me from the other bank. I hear them call, "See where the stream path is. Crossing is not as hard as you might think." I had not thought that it would be like this.
Hi there, my name is Stephen O'Hara, and I'm here today reading a poem by Louis MacNeice, a very famous 1930s poet, raised in Carrickfergus, and he holidayed in Cushendun, and he knew the Antrim coast intimately. And he was here in September 1939, staying in a house that his father had rented on the eve that World War II was announced from Downing Street. And it was a Sunday morning, it was 11:15, when Chamberlain came on the radio and said that he had instructed the Germans to withdraw their troops from Poland, or otherwise a state of war would exist between Britain and Germany. And he said in his polished tones, "I have to say that no such undertaking has been received, and we are consequently in a state of war." So Louis MacNeice, who had been expecting war with many people, he left the house that he was in Cushendun, and he went a walk along the Strand in despair that Europe had reached this point. And he had listened to the public announcements that followed the Prime Minister's declaration of war. And in that public announcement section, they announced the closure of schools, the closure of cinemas, the fact that people were not to congregate in public, that all social and entertainment gatherings were to be banned. And as he walked along the beach, he formed a poem in his mind, and he called the poem Cushendun, and this is it. Fuchsia and ragweed and the distant hills, made as it were out of clouds and sea. All night the bay is plashing, and the moon marks the breaks of the waves. Limestone and basalt and a whitewashed house with passages of great stone flags, and a walled garden with plums on the wall, and a bird piping in the night. Forgetfulness, brass lamps and copper jugs, and homemade bread, and the smell of turf or flax, and the air a glove, and water lathering easy and convolvulus in the hedge. Only in the dark green room beside the fire, with the curtains drawn against the winds and waves, there is a little box with a well-bred voice. What a place to talk of war.
This is a poem called Dunseverick. On hot days she packed a picnic after school, crammed us all into the clapped-out console and drove to the coast where big, flat rocks held the day's heat. We changed into swim togs, spread out the rug, lashed on amber solaire, then dared each other the first swim of the year. We splashed and charged and roared into the water, came out mottled, numb. She squeezed our hair, wrapped us in towels, shoved on wind cheaters, gave us hunks of wheaten slapped together with a wedge of Edmund Black's good cheddar gone sweaty in the sun. We crowded round her, drank lukewarm orange from a plastic cup, shared out a melting bar of fruit and nut.
Hello, I'm Glenn Simpson. This is a song I wrote called Glendon. It's about Glendon and the River Dun. Thank you. Once again I'm in Glendon, brown stream, the summer's gone. A furtive knock upon your door, then was a long embrace. Release you slow and kiss your face. And we went up to Glendon, beneath the bridge towards the sun. Stop and over, tie your shoe. You don't know I'm looking at you. We go down to the river's edge, to the stream we made a pledge. Sleeping now in the world's surmising, but all the time the river was rising. At dusk we walked to Cushendon, the boats were moored in Cushendon. On the bridge you say to me, I love you for eternity. Once again I'm in Glendon, brown stream, the summer's gone.
On behalf of the Old Church Committee, I'd like to thank all our contributors today and all of you for joining us for our Read a Poem session. We've had some poetry, we've had some music, we've had songs over the glens, and I hope everybody's enjoyed it. Look forward to seeing you next year when we hope we'll be back in Randalls.